We are off and underway at the Andover Supercross, and the usual balls to the wall, full gas start. And it was full on as ever. It was physical. You gotta just go for it. And this is the first time where I've actually felt like I've grown a pair of balls and actually got confident and got a bit physical. And just here, it opened up for me. And I went straight down the inside. Chopper move. Dive bombing down the inside. But I actually didn't get that good a corner. Just there. We got man down. You can't park there. I think that's James from All In Racing. But look. That is pure carnage straight from the off. If you do not get a good start, it bottlenecked really quick into this bridge section. The lad there snapped his chain, absolute stinker. But it was full on down that start straight because everyone knew how important it was going to be to get into that bridge, because that corner into the bridge was going to be a serious bottleneck. But I had a relatively decent start. I couldn't be too disappointed with this. Probably my best start I've had in a UCI race. I'm on Nathan's wheel here. We've got Oscar just ahead. So this is a pretty decent start from me because them two boys normally start really strong. They go out hard. But I'm there and I'm thinking, hello, we're in with a good chance to get round today and survive a UCI race. And then just here, Nathan decides to move up, but he is dicing with death. Him and Oscar overtaking Sullivan in the rotor kit is dicing with death. And I considered it here, but I know that man, when he gets a sniff of me, he will take me out like at Derby. So I bottled it and eased off. But just up here, I don't think I had the power to get past him anyway. I think Oscar eased off early, and that was a nice little move from Sullivan there to get past like 2 or 3 riders. I got off and ran. I felt like them off-camber sections at Andover were a lot easier to get off and run. But I'm on the legend that is Phil Pearce's wheel here, and that guy is an absolute animal. And unlike him, he makes a mistake here. And it's very rare that I can say I overtook Phil Pearce in a bike race, but bloody hell, I did. And I took this corner here absolutely horribly. But we're coming into the next off-camber section, and this was tricky. So you can see the guys up front, up ahead. I'm in the top 20 here. Then Nathan comes past me, sneaky little move, and then he has to sit down. You can't park there, Nath. Absolute Bambi on ice, and he goes down. That bit there was so slippy if you got it wrong, and obviously he was dismounting while going down, so that was bold decision that I got off at the top because I knew my skill level. But we're coming down into the run up now, and this is where I was like, this is a full-on race. This course is brutal from start to finish, but it is absolutely mega. So down into the run-up, it's obviously not that great footage here because I'm shouldering the bike, but you can see the floor. Lovely bit of footage, but I am going to remount in a second. So I'm up, back behind Sullivan, and I'm in a good position. I think when I went past the pits the first time, Dad shouted something like I was in 17th place, something like that. We've got a few twisty little corners to deal with here, and they were getting a little bit slippy and rutted during the race. But it was relatively dry. There wasn't too much mud, which was nice. But as I was saying, in my last video, you'd have seen Alexander Forster told me how to go around these corners. I completely dismissed that and went straight on the muddy line and took the line that he told me not to take. The guy created the course. What was I thinking? But I was in the hurt box now, and coming into this corner, I had an absolute mare and slipped out. And you just can't afford to make mistakes like that at this level. But my plan of action going into this race is I hadn't actually made it to the end of a UCI race this season. So I said to the wife before this, I was going to go full nutter the first 20 minutes. I was just going to go absolutely steamboat and risk blowing up. And if I blew up, at least I knew I gave it the berries, went full nutter and tried to make it. And this first lap put me in a dark place. But coming over the bridge, you can see the guys ahead aren't too far ahead. This corner here was causing me all sorts of problems all race. I kept slipping out on those 2 corners. But the one problem with this course that I was really struggling with was these straight sections down here. I just didn't have the power. Look, Nathan came past me there, and he decides into this next bit as well. This next bit was really hard, and I think it was because of the line I was taking. You can see Nathan goes out wide. I decide to chop him on the inside like a complete chopper, but then I don't actually get up the hill. And that is just a schoolboy mistake. I think you needed to take that wide line, come into it with more speed. But me, I was trying to get back past Nathan, and I could not get up that hill for toffee. In the end, I had to start just dismounting and running. But the best bit of the course, this course had it all. We are going on to a BMX track now. Unfortunately, as I only have the front camera, you can't see me doing whips and backflips and all the tricks. But yeah, you know I don't have the capability to do that. But it's absolutely mega. We've got off-cambers, sand pits, we've got BMX tracks, and it was full on from start to finish. But we're just about to finish up the final corner of the BMX section, and then if you look to the right, just as I come around here, you can see the leaders. And I tell you what, after 6 minutes of racing, that is the closest I've ever been to those boys at the front. You've got the Garden Shed boys, Toby Barnes, you've got Joe, I can't think of the other lad's name, Joe Blackmore I think it is, and Jensen Young. They were the three on the podium, I think, and they are absolute animals. So I mean, I was chuffed to bits when I watched back this footage and I noticed that they were on the right, still in frame after 6 minutes. I know there's a couple of corners to take, but I'm gonna milk that. I'm celebrating that. I've shown the wife that bit of footage because I was absolutely over the moon with that. But we're coming into the sand pit, first attempt, and I was actually a bit worried. This was deep, this sand. It was like the Caribbean beach. It was so deep, you could not ride through this section of sand. So I had to dismount, but I did start to close the gap there, but as soon as I got back on, as soon as we got on this flat section down by the pits, the same problem happened to me. I just feel like I do not have the power down these flat sections. Some of the boys are so strong, and my little noodle legs I just don't move fast on a flat section of grass, road, whatever. But I've been working on it massively, so hopefully I can close it. But this section here was just awkward as. You can see Sullivan's on the left. I'm trying to shut him down. I'm trying to do everything to close him down, but it's just hard. Once you let these gaps go and cross, they don't look like much, like he's only just there, but it's really hard to shut it down because the guys in these UCI races, they are fit, they are fast. So to close it down, you've got to be fitter, faster, better technical skills, and like, I haven't got the full package just yet, but I am working on it. But I was absolutely burying myself. You can see I started to close him down here, but I left the door open for the guy behind me, and he comes in with a naughty little move. Look at that, and he skids in front of me into my front wheel. You naughty man, number 22. Trying to play them dirty moves, but if you leave the door open, that's the sort of thing that's going to happen. But I was trying to stay with 22 was a fast boy. He was gridded in front of me, so he must be faster than me, that's for sure. But he went past me and I tried to stay with him. You can see him just in front, and it was the same again. Just tiny little mistakes through the off cambers, and a mistake here around the corner. I think I slipped out, and then when we got to this flat section, I just couldn't shut it down. And then to top it off again, up the hill, I just could not look. I had a little sit down there. Sit, you can't park there, George. What am I playing at? I could not get up that hill to save my life. It took me half an hour before I realised it was faster to get off and run. But back through the sand, I thought I'd leave this in because that is my best attempt to get through the sand. I was pretty pleased with that one. But you can see the boys ahead, and I was a bit in no man's land now. I wasn't really closing the gap down to the boys in front, and I had gone so deep in the first 3 laps. But Jamie Gostick comes past here, and I'm just like, just jump on his wheel and try and stay there. And I think on the right here as well, Josh Jones comes past, and he's a strong boy. He never gets a good start. Every video that I see him in, he never gets a good start, but then like 20 minutes in, he's absolutely flying. But yeah, I jumped on these guys, and if you watch here, Josh made a really good decision to get off and run this next corner. Sorry about the grass on the lens. He gets off and runs. I couldn't take this corner, but look how slow I am, and he puts that gap into me, a couple of bike lengths, and like I said, shutting that down's really hard, but I was just clinging on to Jamie's wheel for dear life right now. I was thinking, I just need to try and recover a bit. We were like, I saw the lap board, and you know when you've gone really deep at the start of the race, this is the first time I've gone really deep, and I saw 6 laps to go or something, and I was like, this is going to be pure hell. But as soon as we got to this section here, and it was this flat drag, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay with them. They're so strong. But I tried to play my dirty move again up the inside to close the gap, because I think these boys maybe went round, yeah, Jamie goes round the outside, so I took this inside line, almost T-boned the man, but yet again I couldn't get up. Jamie made that look effortless, but this numpty didn't have the speed or power. But I did manage to close the gap to him through the sandpit section, but as soon as we got to this straight, he dropped me again. And then just here, to make it even worse, Mr. David Bone comes past me, Mr. Wessex League champion. And I hear Dad in the pits, he was like, cling on to that wheel for dear life, son. And I tried my best, but boy, oh boy, that lad's strong. And look at the gap. I couldn't not get around that corner. I just didn't have it. I went too deep at the start, and he dropped me straight away. And then this cheeky little move there from 34. I left the door open, and he slides down the inside. There was some dirty moves. I don't know if they know that I've got the camera on and they think I'm going to sneak up the inside and show him who's boss. But then just here, Paul Lloyd comes past. Now, you know this bloke's an animal if you've seen some of my past videos. And when I went past, he was like, come on, Giorgio, come on. And I was like, I've got to jump on his wheel. I've got to jump on his wheel, and he will tow me back on to a few of the guys. But as soon as, look, he took this corner awfully, and he nearly takes me out with a stake. Bloody hell. He's taking the tape out. But look at that. He gets out the saddle. He absolutely monsters it, and I couldn't respond to it. And then I think just here as well, Phil Pearce comes past me like I'm absolutely stood still. Look at the speed he had there. That is ridiculous. But then I come, my dirty little inside move, and yet again, this chopper could not get up the hill. And I blocked Phil Pearce a little bit there as well, so I apologise for that. But I jumped back on, and I was just trying to cling on to his wheel now. I couldn't believe that I was even in the position like 30 odd minutes into the race or whatever we were, and I was still up with some absolute hitters. So this is probably the best performance I've had in a UCI race this year. I'm not gonna lie, this was my best legs I've had this year, but there's a couple of little bits that I need to work on, this bit being one. Look, as soon as he gets clipped in, look how quickly he pulls away from me. It's like I'm in the sand and he's on a bit of tarmac. I'm just so weak. But I was trying my best to stay with them. They moved up, and you can see them on the left. They moved up past Sullivan, who was in the rotor kit. I started to close the gap down to him, but I just, you know, when you feel like you're closing it, and then he was a little bit faster on one section, I was a little bit faster, then Finn comes past me, and I was just slowly dropping back where it was purely where I went so deep. But thankfully, because I saw these boys dismount, that was when I realised it was faster for me to dismount up that hill. But just here, you can see I had a terrible dismount in the sand section, let the wheel go, and when I knew it was coming to this next section just here, the flat drag, I was like, I can't afford to let a wheel go there, which is another shame. But just on the right, you saw Mr. David Bone did unfortunately get a flat, but I'm going to milk this bit because I'm in front of the Wessex champion, and he needs to get used to this because when I'm back racing Wessex, he's going to see the back of me a bit more often. But I didn't stay in front of him long because he came straight back past me, and honestly, I just couldn't stay with him. It was this corner here. He was taking it really well. like up there, getting round, putting down the pack. Where am I going? Where are you going, Georgie boy? Look at the gap he put in on one corner. That is just an absolute shocking turn. But I was sort of hanging in there because there was bits where, like the running sections, I was actually doing quite well on, but then the bits where I was actually on my bike, I kept getting dropped, which is not exactly ideal. But I ended up going back past 34. I think he blew up after chopping me on that corner near the start of the race. And I ended up in a bit of no man's land now. I wasn't shutting down the gap to the people in front. I wasn't able to close, the people behind weren't catching me. But you saw that right. I took the bell lap in a UCI race. I was going to make it to the finish without getting pulled, without getting lapped. So this was a big performance for me. And to some, you might just think, what a chopper, he's made it to the end of a race. But this was huge for me, a serious confidence booster to actually feel like I was in the race and belonged there. So last little time through the sand, I decided to run it because I was absolutely hanging out. But final few corners, and I felt like raising my hand like I'd won a bike race here. I made it to the end of a UCI race and took the checkered flag. And that is a wrap. Andover Supercross complete, and my first ever full UCI race. It was full beans from start to finish. But what a mega course. If he holds this event next year, like the UCI one, even if you want to do the Wessex League one on a Sunday, I'm sure Alex will hold it again. It was a wicked course. Sandpits, BMX tracks, off cambers. You have got to get involved. You will not be disappointed. It was mega. Fast, furious and brutal. But I was super happy with my performance. I think I finished like 25th, something like that. These lads that I'm racing against, it's all the same people that turn up to nationals and are absolute machines. So I did race them the following day as well, and that'll be the next video out or in a couple of videos. But I hope you've enjoyed this one. I was super pleased with the performance and it was just a wicked course. But if you have enjoyed it, please do hit that subscribe button and I'll catch you in the next video.